Good morning. Welcome to our first virtual job shadow. This morning we're featuring careers in marketing, social media, and graphic design. Our guests that are here with us this morning to share about their careers are Christine Milas from Forge Social, Lisa Sabers, and Suzanne Milius from Kendall Hunt Publishing. To our guests that are joining us today, please use the chat box for your questions, and thank you for joining us.
All right, good morning, everyone. As Joni mentioned, Joni, thank you for the nice introduction. My name is Lisa Sabers, and I am with Kendall Hunt Publishing, and I am their Director of Marketing. What I'd like to do right now is just share my screen with you. I've created just a quick little presentation to talk a bit about myself, what I do, and a little bit about Kendall Hunt as well. So as I mentioned, I am Director of the Higher Education Marketing Department here at Kendall Hunt. Just a little bit about myself, if I may. I'm a graduate of the University of Iowa, proud Hawkeye, and my majors were journalism and communication studies. At the time that I was in school, I very much wanted to be a writer. Writing was my thing. I wasn't certain if it was going to be within a newspaper. I wasn't certain how that was going to form, but definitely writing was my driving force. As I got into my classes, I realized public relations was and should be the coolest thing that could ever be done, and that became my focus. With regards to my studies, I joined organizations around public relations, and that was what I decided I wanted my career path to be. Also mainly driven by, and I'm going to be showing my age here, but maybe some of you will remember Britney Spears had a bit of a meltdown around the time that I was in school. She went a little crazy, and I remember just thinking, who are her people? This woman is like a millionaire. She has PR people surrounding her, marketing people surrounding her. Who is telling her to make these decisions? This is crazy. I want to be one of those people. Like, I don't need to be her, but I would love to be one of those people that's helped driving her choices and helping her to achieve, stardom, or not that she needed my help, but whatever that was. I thought that was really, really interesting, and that, of course, made perfect sense to be my career choice. As it turns out, Britney Spears was not hiring, nor were any of her celebrity friends. However, after school, I got a job working at a consumer products company, doing marketing for them. Was a great foot in the door opportunity, and then moved into sales, actually. And that was probably the best thing that could have happened to me, moving from getting my feet wet with marketing kind of PR for that consumer products company to moving into sales. Sales experience was a huge benefit for a marketing position, because marketing and sales work so closely together. So I would say, even now being in the position I am, where we're looking for constantly people to expand our team, if you can be a well-rounded individual, even if marketing is your focus or if public relations is going to be your focus, I strongly encourage everyone to think about other avenues that they could enter into that could help them move forward with the focuses that they think they want, because you just never know how that outside experience can drive what you want to do forward. And sales was definitely a big driver for me, because it gave me that experience, like, okay, marketing is going to do all these activities so that our brand is well known, and then it's incumbent on the sales team to go out there and bring in those dollars so that that company can be successful and continue to drive forward. So the more knowledge and insight I had with the sales area only helped further my career in marketing. And yeah, ended up here at Kendall Hunt Publishing, working in higher education. So with regards to our team here and just marketing in general, we're a small and mighty team, but we do wear many, many hats. Every day is different, whether it's market research, what are people purchasing today? Do they like to be spoken to on Instagram, or do they prefer to be receive their information on a podcast? Do they receive emails well? It's necessary to measure these kinds of things so that you can make decisions on how best you want to connect with your audience. So market research, if you're data driven, if you like spreadsheets, if those kinds of things interest you, that's a really, really fun area to. That department basically drives the decisions that the rest of the team is doing. Additionally, content marketing. I mentioned my background is in writing. I love to write. I love content marketing. I love webinar writing. I love blog posts. I love doing those types of activities. That's kind of my jam. If writing is of interest to you, that could be an area of focus that you would want to go into. Email marketing probably needs very little explanation. I bet if any of you looked at your Hotmail or your MSN accounts or whatever that may be, you would see a plethora of junk mail or spam or solicitations from marketers trying to get your attention. So how do you cut through the clutter? What are the right methods you should use? Do people like to see a bunch of pictures? Do they like to see bright colors? Do people, do you like to be spoken to in a calm tone? Do you like to have it look very much like someone personally wrote you a message from their inbox? Those are all decisions that we want to think through and different tactics we can use for email marketing. Search engine marketing, this one's really fun. I'm going to show you an example of this in a little bit. You think your choices are your own. You think you're going to, type in, I don't know, Italian restaurants for dinner near me, and the list populates. That list is very well curated. Someone made very smart choices. Someone paid a lot of money or made a lot of other choices to get their restaurant to the top of that list. And that's what search engine marketing is about. And that's also another really interesting tactic and tool that we use, as well as product marketing. So this is very, very common. You're going to have a product. It's going to go into the market. With regards to what we do at Kendall Hunt and higher education, it's textbooks. It's the textbooks that you've probably purchased or will purchase. What pricing needs to happen in order to make sure that we cover our costs, but we also want to provide the best, fairest, most cost-effective price possible for our professors to offer their students. The covers that are going on. I know Suzanne's going to speak in a little bit about all of the decisions that go into that. That's such an interesting facet to that, but there's so much that goes into product marketing as well. So when thinking about the field of marketing, you can work for large organizations that are going to have specific departments that are going to do or have departments that are going to focus on each one of these different aspects. At Kendall Hunt, we're very fortunate because we're a small team, as I mentioned, and we get to do a lot of different things all in the same day. Just really quickly, when you're thinking about marketing, you have to know who you're speaking to, but you also have to know who you're speaking on behalf of. Whether you're selling tennis shoes, whether you're selling juice, whether it's publishing and textbooks, what is the company's mission statement? What is your marketing mission? What are you trying to achieve? For us, we're trying to attract an audience of post-secondary education professors. We want to let them know about the products and services that we have, why they're amazing, why all of the work that we go into makes our product the best possible product out there to give students the best possible outcome. And we want to then convert professors into a Kendall Hunt author, hopefully encourage them to write a book with us or adopt one of our titles. So it's incumbent on us to make those decisions, use the tools I just talked about, and kind of help guide them on that path. So that's as it pertains to Kendall Hunt, but you're going to find this regardless of what area or what business you go into. It's really important to understand who you're speaking on behalf of. Buyer persona. Who are you talking to? What do your professors look like? For us, it's secondary or post-secondary education. What do your professors look like? Where do they hang out? Where do they like to receive information? What motivates them? What are their key attributes? What are they struggling with right now? So doing market research, talking to your customers, talking to your sales team who are in front of your customers, gathering all of this data. This helps you make good decisions so that when you're speaking to these individuals, you know how you want to approach them. A great example of is, I'm going to show you an ad here really quick. I can't stress enough. And again, Suzanne, she is the creative guru. She gets to do so many fun things, and she'll speak about that here in a minute. But from our standpoint too, we know as well, it's so important that language, tone, imagery, they matter. If we're going to speak to a post-secondary professor, for a post-secondary education professor, we could choose bright colors are very in right now. Instagram is a place where a lot of people are receiving their information, as Christine's going to talk to you about here in a little bit. But is that where your professor is going? Is that where your audience is receiving information? And if it is, how would they like to be spoken to? Would you use a lot of slang? Would you speak more professionally to them? Would you use a lot of bright colors and sort of interesting graphics? Would you be a little bit more straightforward in your message? So I like to show this just as an example of, it's a cool ad, it's fun, it speaks to a certain audience, and that's great, and Fanta's had a great deal of success, but Is it your audience? Is it, you know, I might think it's cool and fun and it speaks to me, but is it going to speak to the people that I'm talking to? Those are things that are really important and are fun to think about. And then I just wanted to give you a couple of examples of some campaigns that we have actively going right now. I touched briefly on search engine marketing before. So right now we're running a campaign. This is just an example you can see to your right when you might populate carpet cleaning. It's going to populate a list of options that you can have for that specific search. And then you can see that it says ad to the left of that URL. Those are paid ads. Those individuals paid to have their ads there. So when someone searched for that specific, they had a need, they searched for that need, their ad populated. We run those kinds of campaigns as well. We utilize Google AdWords to figure out what words would people be searching for. Okay, let's identify those. And then let's create an ad that's going to drive those individuals that we want to talk to our website. So it's figuring out what language we want to use. What words are people looking for? That's something that we're currently working on. Also, remarketing. Okay, so I get Suzanne, Christine, Joni, I get them to my website. Fantastic. Then they leave, they go away, they get called, they're doing whatever. They're going to go grab food. I want to stay top of mind. So we utilize remarketing. So that way, after they leave and go away, and then they check Facebook, they check Instagram, they check the weather, they're going to be reminded about Kendall Hunt because they're going to see some other advertisements in the corner there that remind them, oh yeah, I did look at them. Oh, maybe I want to go back there. So remarketing is another just interesting tool amongst the gamut of tactics and strategies you can have to keep your message top of mind. And then last, real quick, email campaigns is something we're going into right now. Very, very straightforward. You can target everyone as though they were the same person. They're all in the same stage. Just send them one email, cross your fingers that maybe they're going to respond to you, and then hopefully sales can run with it and life is going to be good. Or you can figure out, well, where is this customer at? Does this professor know anything about Kendall Hunt? Maybe I need to educate them a little bit on who we are. And then if they show interest, if they engage in that email, I can measure that. Then maybe I should send them something else about the products that we have available. Or maybe they were more interested in writing. Maybe I should send them something else about that opportunity. So then we can deploy further campaigns to kind of take them on a journey with us. From that initial email to the trigger, did they click on it, did they open? You can measure these things. And you can imagine which one of those options is going to be more successful. It's who's your audience, what are they doing, and speaking to them accordingly. So these are all things that we do on a daily basis, as well as we've got a lot of different campaigns going, email campaigns being one of them, that help us to identify, who we want to speak to and how we want to speak to them. So that's a little bit about the marketing piece of it and kind of the strategy and the thought process behind it. And if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to help answer them at the end. Thank you. On to Suzanne.
All right, thank you so much, Lisa. That was really informative. And I wanted to thank NICC for putting this together. I think this is fantastic. And thanks, Christine, for reaching out. Okay, so I am the graphic design manager under the division of higher ed. And what that means is we design all of the covers, and that's including ebooks and print books, as well as access cards and web banners. We work with a department called Publishing Services, and they're the liaison between us and the author. So we don't have any direct contact with the author, but we have something called a design request form where the author submits ideas, and it's really all over the place. Sometimes an author is really specific about really specific. Like, I want them in a field dressed like this and doing that, and obviously we're not doing photo shoots. We're using something called Shutterstock where we get imagery. Other times they have no idea and they leave it up to us, which is also fantastic. There's 4 of us, including myself. And then in the spring and summer, I hire an intern, and they really become the 5th designer for us, which is awesome. So I'm using a list of questions that I was given, and they're fantastic. So I'm kind of having that guide my presentation. So a little bit of background about how I got into this field. So for me, I have always been a creative person. I have always loved drawing and painting. Growing up, it was very typical for us to be drawing at the table and have construction paper and all of that. So it's just been a part of my life. Christine and I were joking a little bit the other day about fleeting moments of career paths. And it's funny because, you know, I thought this was very fleeting, but at one point in my life, I thought like, oh my gosh, you know, I love looking at the stars, and I love the concept of our solar system and the galaxy and how that relates to the universe and all of that. I should go into astronomy. Then I realized there's quite a bit of math involved. So that was very, very fleeting. So I went to Clark University here in Dubuque. And again, I knew I wanted to get into something creative, but I didn't know exactly what that looked like. I majored in painting. My thesis was literally to fill a gallery full of my paintings. But before I graduated, I didn't like the concept of being a starving artist. You know, I didn't know what I was really going to do with that. So I took a class, and Lisa talked about dating herself. I'm going to date myself like quite a bit, probably during this presentation. But I took a class, and it was called Photoshop, and it was very new at that time. Nobody really knew a lot about it. It was in its very early stages. It was so early. I remember, this is just really like etched in my head. I remember my professors at the time coming in with a bag of jelly beans, and they threw them on the scanner bed and they scanned them into Photoshop. And it was just like magic. We never saw anything like it. We couldn't believe that you could take something in a physical form and put it directly into Photoshop to manipulate it. It was a beautiful thing. There was also a course that was a semester long called Quark, and that would then, InDesign would take over that into industry. But both those classes, again, even though I knew I wanted to do something creative, taking those courses really changed my career path, because I started thinking, this is something I can do for a career, and it can still be very creative and rewarding. At that time, there really wasn't a lot of opportunities to job shadow companies like there are now, which I think is fantastic, and I love to be a part of that. I remember asking my professors at the time, you know, what does graphic design even look like at a company, or how do I put together a portfolio? And again, because there was no formal program and it was in its early stages, they didn't really have the answer to that. So it was a lot of me trying to figure that out on my own. So part of my job, it's kind of split. So I'm a manager first, of course, and I love managing people. I love mentoring and everything that comes along with that. I love, you know, when I hire an intern, I love being able to work with them and have them grow into their own, you know, who they are as a future employee, but also as a creative. But I also really love the fact that I get to design too. It's a lot of fun. It'll be 22 years this November at Kendall Hunt. We actually have a lot of longevity in our department, but the funny thing is I still get giddy when I see a finished book of a cover I did. It never gets old. I still absolutely love it. So one of the questions, and I thought this was fantastic, is what class in high school or college did you think, I'm never going to use this, but in fact you use it regularly? Okay, well, that's two-part. Again, math. I did not like math. I just remember thinking, you know, I'm going to go into something creative. What do I need math for? But I was very wrong about that. Actually, in our job, we do use quite a bit of math. We have formulas that we use to come up with the spine, because the spine is going to change depending on the paper size, what vendor it goes to. And then in turn, when we adjust the spine, the entire canvas size changes. So we're constantly measuring the covers before they go out the door. And we work with quite a few. We have 6x9, 7.25, 8.5x11, and they all have different bindings. So when our covers leave our hands, they have to be correct. You know, we can't have situations where some of the text is running off the cover and gets chopped off. So again, it really does come down to using math and numbers. And so, yeah, I do use math. The other thing that I remember is my professors at the time in my fine arts class is they forced us to talk about everything we did. And I mean everything. So I remember creating something and my professor would say, well, why did you use that color? Why did you place that there? Why did you use that shape? Why is it symmetrical? Why is it not symmetrical? And it was initially really exhausting, because I remember thinking, it's done, I created it, here it is. But I think that taught me two things. First of all, it became second nature talking about my work. But what it does to you as a creative and a designer is, as you're creating something, you're thinking about that very thing at its core. Why am I using this color? What does this color mean? What does it stand for? Why am I placing this text here? So everything has a message and a meaning, and it's very important to be thinking about that as a designer. The second part of that I use a lot is when we're creating a concept, we're trying to give the author a cover that's going to obviously wow him or her, but we're trying to kind of sell it in a way, because even when they do come up with a concept, we want to take that concept and we want to come up with something even more fantastic that they could ever dream about. So sometimes we give them something and they're like, well, that's not quite what I thought. So a lot of times I tell the designers, send a little paragraph, let them know, I chose this color because it's symbolic of strength. And I use this font because it lends itself well to the message of your book, or I decided to add this image. So I think it's really important that we as designers are letting them know and selling that concept to them. Something that I like to tell, when I'm working with an intern or somebody coming out of college, I think that this job really is for anybody. Obviously, I'm always looking for somebody that's creative, driven. But the one thing I do tell them, and I remember feeling like this early on, is don't be offended if somebody doesn't like your work, because in our industry, there's so many times where I have come up with something and I'm like, it's perfect, here you go. And they're like, I hate it. I hate everything about it. I don't like the color used. I don't like the font. And that just comes with it. And it's like, that's fine. Let's go back to the drawing board and do it again. And I always also tell designers, never get rid of a concept that somebody doesn't like, because we have a recycle folder for our concepts. And there's been countless times where we pull that concept out for another author, and then it ends up winning an Addie Award. So it's okay when they don't like it. And it's their book. At the end of the day, it's their product. We're designing something for them. So one of the questions was, what's the hardest part of your job? I don't think there's anything that I would describe as difficult, but we do have a very busy time, and that's summer. I would say late spring and summer, we get very busy. Projects are coming in very fast and they're going out very fast. So because I'm a creative and the other designers are pretty creative, it's for them, it's like you don't have as much time to photo research and play around with the design. Sometimes we're even giving an author a couple concepts so that they can choose from. There's not a lot of time for that, because again, they're coming in fast, they're going out fast, but at the same time, they have to be still visually, impactful, but they also have to be correct. Again, we can't have like a lot of errors when, even though we're doing stuff at a high speed. So we do value the times a year when things slow down a little bit and we can have more time to play. And also, since our industry is changing a lot and we use the Creative Suite, Photoshop, and InDesign, it's important that we know how to use those programs really well. So, we take the times that we slow down a little bit to do some training and to brush up on everything, so that we can really be, we want to be the best in our industry. We want our covers to really shine and really stand against the competition. That's really important for us. I think the most fun part about my job is really the people that I work with. I love the people. I love being in a creative field. We've all heard the expression, choose something that you really love and it won't feel like a chore or a job. It's so very true. It sounds cliche, but it's really true. I really love my job. I think if you have passion to do something, you're not ever going to be fighting against it. It's going to be fun. So yeah, I love that. And I really enjoy working at Kendall Hunt. It's a great company culture. I have a great team. I have a great boss, and our president has been fantastic, especially during this time of COVID with his leadership. So yeah, I really, really love what I do. So I'm going to have a little visual here at the end. But again, I just really tell people to take a class, even if you're sure you know what you want to go into, because I have talked to so many people, really, when I'm doing mock interviews at UD, when I'm hiring somebody, I would say 50% of the time, and it's probably even more than that, that somebody says to me, well, I was all set, I was going to be a biology major, and I took a graphic design course, and I instantly thought, this is what I want to do. So that's usually my takeaway and my advice is, even if you're sure, take a course, because I was sure what I was going to do, but had I not taken you know, Photoshop and Quark and other graphic design classes, you know, I might not be here today. You know, I might be doing something completely different. So, okay, so I'm going to share my screen and talk about this packet that I came up with. Okay, so I came up with this a couple years ago, and I use it when we have students come in and we're talking to them, and it's kind of a takeaway. And I actually, I know Joni had mentioned at the beginning that this will be something that you guys can download and look at your leisure. So, of course, you know, our covers will wow you. I think they will. This is a little bit about our process. So, production services, I'm still calling them that, but they actually recently changed their name to publishing services. It's very hard to break that habit, I will tell you. So they submit a form, like I said, and the author has either some ideas or they have none at all. We are living and breathing in Photoshop every single day, including InDesign. Those are our two, I would say, our two programs out of the Creative Suite that we use very heavily. And again, I kind of mentioned this, sometimes we come up with something and it's the author, it's like love at first sight. They're like, this is just perfection. Of course, those are always a lot of fun. And then other times, you know, no, I don't like it. Sometimes it's just, you know, I'm not feeling that color. Or sometimes it's something very, you know, something we're not even thinking of. Hey, this other college uses that color and that's something we don't want to use. We don't want to be compared to them. So there's a lot of variables that go into that. So, you know, typically a cover might go through 2 to 3 passes. That's probably pretty typical. You know, sometimes it's something small like, oh, I want to tweak the subtitle. Once the cover is approved, we upload the layered Photoshop files, and then the compositor uses that to kind of pull from and use in the interior for chapter openers and title pages. So that way, when you look at the finished product, you see a cohesiveness. And then at the very, very end, when it's ready to go to print, that's when we're giving some numbers. You know, this is the page count. This is the vendor. We have a couple different vendors we work with, and one of the vendors, the process for finalizing is very different compared to some of the other vendors. So again, things have to be correct. We're using a couple different formulas to make sure that everything is good on our end. Here's some of our covers that we have done. These are compiled from all of the designers. And again, I could not be more proud. And what makes my job really fun, you know, when I'm doing mock interviews, and I tell people that I've been in this field for that long, sometimes they're kind of like, do you ever get, you know, tired of doing covers? And honestly, I don't, because as you can see, because of our product being so diverse, you know, we're doing everything from film to forensics to music, and you'll see a little bit more of that here. That's what makes it so much fun, is it makes our jobs as creative, it's very diverse. So here you have some music, cyber warfare. This one here, this one by Reed Morgan is like, it was a little bit of, it was a smaller size, and they wanted it to have a novel feel. So it really stood out as like, I want this to look like something that's more of a novel, not so much as a college textbook. So again, it's all over the place. Music, cinema. A couple years ago, I did a cover. It was a book out of, it was for a college it was a college in California, and it was a wine tasting course. It was a semester-long wine tasting course, and I thought that was pretty cool. We didn't have anything like that, I know, at Clark, but again, just, you know, we don't just take an image and plop it on. There's a lot that goes into it. So for this particular one, you know, it was kind of ghosting back some of the words to make it look like it was really behind that glass, and then of course adding this to the wine label. So there's a lot that really goes into it. Dance, criminology, yeah, so that's just a little bit. And then I'm not going to read these, but I'll just leave you with these. There's just some testimonials from some of my interns, and we actually have a couple interns that are working currently at Kendall Hunt. And then my intern that I had this summer, I actually hired her, and then she's working for us part-time. And then when she finishes school, she will be a full-time designer. So just talks about their experience with working at Kendall Hunt and our company culture. These are some things I look for: a solid portfolio. Of course, please always bring your portfolio when you go to an interview. I have actually had this a couple times where I interviewed somebody and they didn't bring their portfolio. It sounds really strange, and they were kind of looking at me and I'm looking at them, because for me and my job, maybe that could work in other professions, but that's really what I'm hiring somebody on. I mean, they have to have a solid portfolio. That's my only way to know how they're going to be, you know, how solid is you know, their skill at using Photoshop and InDesign, and then me asking them questions. And then again, I want to hear them talk about their work. So they have to have a good portfolio. Obviously creative, strong eye for design, responsible. And then the software is really important. You know, I can teach somebody some of that, but a lot of it is me training them on process and procedure. So I like them to have a really solid understanding of that. This is just an example of my actual ad when I'm hiring somebody. And then this was a quote that I found by Steven Spielberg I thought was just really sums up me as a manager and as a mentor. The delicate balance of mentoring someone is not creating them in your own image, but giving them the opportunity to create themselves. I absolutely love that, especially, you know, when I'm working with somebody, I don't, and when you look at all of our work, the designers, everybody has their own style. And that's what I really applaud and love. I don't want somebody to, when I'm training somebody, I don't want them to mimic my style or think they have to. I want them to be their own individual with their own ideas, and so they can just shine in their own right. This is my contact information. And since I'll be leaving you with the PDF and you will have it, I always tell people I'm happy to look at, if you have an online portfolio that you're not sure about, I'm always happy to give feedback, give you very honest feedback about maybe taking some pieces out or what to add. I've been looking at portfolios for a long time, so I love doing that. And then hopefully when this pandemic is over, I have done this before too, where students can come in and actually sit with me and do an authentic job shadow where they can watch me work. I can show them our department and really like show them a day in the life of what it's like to work at Kendall Hunt in the design department. This is our mission statement, and it's kind of a twofold. You know, one of them is when the author has a vision, of course we listen to that, but we want to give them something even above and beyond that, something that, you know, because a lot of times they're not creative, we want to give them something that they could never even imagine, something that's like, wow, I wasn't even thinking that that was possible. And then just, you know, we love to say that your cover is in great hands. So that's about it with my presentation. I will pass the torch to Christine. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne, and thank you to Lisa, too, for both agreeing to represent your departments at Kendall Hunt. And I'll echo, too, what Suzanne said. Thank you to NACC and Kelly and Joni for planning and inviting our family of companies to be a part of these first few job shadows. So I will start by introducing myself. My name is Christine Mellis, and I am the Director of Sales and Operations for Forge Social. Forge Social is a social media marketing agency. We are headquartered in Dubuque inside of the Kendall Hunt Publishing office, and we share the same president, Chad Chanley. So I'm going to give you a little bit of background on myself and our company. So I actually started at Kendall Hunt Publishing. I was in the sales department in higher ed. I started there in 2013, I believe it was. And my background is I graduated from Loras College there in Dubuque in 2009 with a major in PR and communications. And just like Suzanne mentioned earlier, I actually started as a marine biology major. As a student at Loras, there's not a whole lot of dolphins to be studying in the Mississippi River. I actually left my sophomore year, went to a school in Wisconsin who surprisingly had a marine biology program. And my mom kind of had a big moment with me where she said I could talk to a tree and carry on a conversation with a tree, but my chemistry skills weren't that great. And like Suzanne, I hated math. And so she thought maybe I would be better off as Shamu or Flipper's PR publicist instead of actually trying to save a pot of whales. So to her surprise, I took her advice. I ended up coming back to Dubuque, finished off my degree, and then I had quite a few positions before I finally landed at Kendall Hunt. I've been in event planning, sales. I worked in design. So So all of those decisions really helped me to be in where I am now, because social media, as I'll talk about in a little bit, takes everything that Lisa spoke to and what she does with her team on a daily basis and what Suzanne does with her team. And we take all of that and not only implement it, but my team is executing a lot of those elements ourselves across social media and the different digital pieces that we're creating. So to go back then, I landed my job at Kendall Hunt in sales, and I was doing some social media management on the side, and I loved what I was doing. It gave me an opportunity to travel, to meet new people. I loved the company I was in. The people at Kendall Hunt truly have become my family, and literally, I met my husband through one of the women who hired me, my sister-in-law now. It's a fantastic place to work, and just because I wanted to continue being there, but I wasn't, I'm someone who I was just always looking for something a little bit more to do. I was speaking with Chad, my boss and our president, and was interested in how he was hiring a social media manager. And so through different conversation, literally one day I got a knock on my door in August, which is our crazy busy time, as Lisa and Suzanne know, when we're waiting for sales to come in. And he said, hey, this is out of left field, but would you be interested in starting a company? And after I picked my job off the floor, knowing that I had only been there for a few years and had no background in starting a company, I accepted that opportunity. And that's something that I am so incredibly and will forever be grateful for, because Kendall Hunt and our family of companies really fosters that entrepreneurial spirit and giving people chances regardless of how long you have been in a role. If, like Lisa said, you're willing to, Suzanne said, really willing to put in the work and dedicate, yourself, you're going to be given opportunity, and then you're going to love what you're going to do too. So now fast forward 5 years later, almost in January, we'll be celebrating our 5th anniversary. I have a team of 8 full-time individuals, and I have 1 intern. We usually have 2 every semester, but since things look a little different right now, we're working with 1. But we work with individuals to large companies, and we manage their social media for them. So before I go into more about what my team does and who we are and talk a little bit about our clients, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you and show you a video that gives you a quick insight into all of that.
Ford Social. Who are we, what do we do, and why do we do it? These are the questions we're going to answer. Everyone has a story, and at some point, each of us plays a role in someone else's. The same holds true for a business. How does an idea in someone's mind evolve to a team of people creating a plan, to a grand opening, a first customer, and into a successful brand celebrating 25 years in business? There is a story to be told. Whether your business is selling a product or service, each is unique in its own way. Ford Social is a team of social media marketing experts dedicated to telling your story. We do this by capturing your voice and illustrating who you are and what you do and why your audience should believe in you. This is all executed through social media using custom content created specifically for you. Our focus is to help grow your business and give you a deeper understanding of your target audience and current customers. Our team knows that your job and passion is in living out your story through the day-to-day tasks you have as a business owner. Let us handle the evolving and ever-changing world of social media marketing to increase your customer base, market presence, and revenue, while you focus on what you do best. Together, we'll tell a story that your customers will want to read time and time again.
So what you saw in that video was a team of experts who work very hard to tell our client stories. And right away in the beginning, in that video, it talks about social media is telling your story. And that is what I really want you all to take away from my presentation today. When you go and you open up your Snapchat later, or Instagram or Facebook, whatever social media channels that you choose to engage with if you are on them, is that there is a strategy behind all of those GIFs or GIFs, however you want to say those, or memes, or just the ads, the videos, all of that you're seeing, whether it's from your favorite celebrities or from your favorite athletes or your sports teams or a local business. There is a lot of work that goes into making the decisions behind the words that you see, the images that you're shown, and the videos that are played for you. When Lisa was speaking, she talked a lot about how in the very beginning that market research is so important and really drives the information and those tactics then that are used to get the information to your audience. And when you think about being a social media manager, you may not think that that is something that you would be doing, but it is actually at the core of what Forge Social does. Our agency is the first and still only agency in the state of Iowa to my entire team in 1 month. We'll have wait for one more person to get their certificate, but we'll all be certified social media strategists through the National Institute for Social Media. And the reason that's so important is because we can truly say that we are the experts. And with those certifications, we sit down from that first conversation when a client says that they want to partner with us, and we ask them, what are your business goals? We ask them what drives their revenue, who are their customers, who do they want, what are there certain markets that they want to tap into. Just yesterday, I was on a call with a solar energy company here in Galena where I live, and I was asking them about their entire sales process and all of these things that I realized 5 years ago I wasn't asking, not only because my experience in this field has grown so much, but the industry has changed. So it's constantly changing. So you have to really understand what drives a business and who they are and who their customers are and what they want their brand to represent before you can ever begin posting for them. In order to do all of that, not only do you have to be a strategist and be willing to ask questions, but what I look for and what I believe my team, I know my team is all encompassed of, they're strategists, they're creative thinkers, they're designers, they're writers, they're copy editors, they become customer service representatives for their clients, they are photographers, videographers, advertisers, and most importantly, they're partners with their clients. All of those, I guess you would say job titles, are truly what each and every one of my team is on a daily basis or a weekly basis for our clients. And the reason is because social media is so diverse. There are so many tools and options that we utilize on a daily, weekly, monthly basis for our clients, and our clients' needs change. Maybe when we begin working with a client, we really focus on Facebook for them. And then as we're able to take more photos and help them understand the reason that we want more videos and just real footage beyond Shutterstock images of who their clients are and what they do and how they do it, then we can build an Instagram strategy for them. So we don't post the same content on any of the social media channels for our client. There's always going to be some cross-posting, but who we're speaking to and what you log on to Instagram to see is going to be different than what maybe your mom or dad or brother or sister look to on Facebook, and the way you engage is going to be different as well. So all of that is really important. I want to share too. So the reason that Forge Social was founded wasn't just because Chad decided that he wanted to start another company. He was looking to create a custom experience for individuals to large corporations in the same way that Kendall Hunt creates these custom publications and really provides that tailored experience and that personal experience to our authors. To their authors. So I have really enjoyed getting to take everything that I was trained on from Kendall Hunt and the way that we approach sales and even the way I've set up my team structure and take that influence and integrate it into our own company culture. When we work with a client, my role outside of being a manager is I drive our sales. So I am the main individual who is trying to acquire new clients, and that has a lot to do with referrals and personal connections through several of us, and then also advertising on our own social media and different marketing. So when I am doing that though, I am telling a customer or potential client that we really want to become an extension of your company. We want you to feel like we are down the hall, even when we are not. We want to be a real partner with you. And what I love, because I love my job and I love what I do, is that we are, we find that we end up assisting leaders in companies in making big decisions to small decisions about anything from changing the hours in their chiropractic center to offering a new product, or to realizing that they have a new demographic that they never had before. So what we are learning on social media for our clients is truly helping to shape their business. And, you know, maybe when you think about this, the post that you see, we're really trying to pull information out of you. We're trying to see, are you going to engage with a video more than a static image? Or are you going to click on this link in the post copy? Are you more apt to click on the image and let you go somewhere? So every single decision you make, like Lisa said in her presentation, you think it's your own, but it's not. and the remarketing, the retargeting, if today you had never gone on to, let's say, the Iowa Hawkeyes, onto their football schedule, and you went on it today, and if you have a Facebook or an Instagram, I can guarantee you that within a couple hours, if you went onto your social media, you would start seeing ads for the Hawkeyes football schedule, or to attend University of Iowa. And that's because there's a code that we are installing on their website, retargeting you. So you may have never gone to their website before, or their Facebook page or Instagram, but because you took an action, now we're able to use that data and do something with it. So it's just so interesting. And so we're really involved, again, in so many aspects of a business. You have to be, because so much of the world is on social media, especially now with the place, the status of our current environment. And so you have to attract people where they are engaging first. So I'm also going to go ahead and share my screen as I kind of talk through the next points here. And so what you're just going to see are just three simple slides. This is my team. This is actually the last time we were all out together. We were at one of our clients in Galena, Otto's Place. They're a restaurant. This was the end result of a photo shoot. So when we are working with a client, I mentioned all those different roles that we fill, and it's so much fun because we get to be on site and we get to not only enjoy each other's company, but a lot of hard work happened before we were enjoying our meal. Up here, we were interviewing customers about their experience, and we were creating videos for them. We were doing all of this content creation for them that we would use as inspiration for later posts. And what I love too is seeing when the content that we create and use on social media, when our clients say, hey, we love what you did for our Facebook or our LinkedIn, can we use that on our flyers or our banner or our postcards? And so many times it gets used elsewhere too. We have client meetings. This is one of my account managers, Natalie, and her clients from the Galena wine cellars. We traveled to, this was in Des Moines. We were working with a culinary school, on-site, a recent photo shoot for a local cosmetology client that we have in salon. This photo here, something that I truly love too, is when we are working with clients, I can talk to you about anything from rotating tires now, thanks to all the clients that we work with, to things in healthcare, to movies, to just, you become exposed to so much content. I just love it. I know about so many things that I never ever thought I would before. And this is actually Natalie and Anna they both started as my interns. Ayanna was actually my very first intern, her second semester of her freshman year at Loris, and she was hired on with us 2 almost years ago now, and she was my first promotion as well. So it just goes to show you too, again, it doesn't matter how long you've been with the company, she is outstanding, and as is Natalie and my whole team. But I've hired almost every single intern who has worked for me, which I love. But in this photo, they're screening films for the Julian Dubuque International Film Festival, which we manage the social media for, but they're not doing it as part of managing their account. They're doing it because they both realized that they wanted to volunteer and help, so they become on a committee for that, which is super cool. With the film festival, we've gotten to meet some celebrities. We've gotten to see an actual Emmy Award. So we've just been exposed to so much. And again, it opens your mind up into the world of marketing and how there is just so many things on social media that tie back into what a business does. So these 3 photos we went to LinkedIn, we did a big Facebook training. So I love to send my team when I am able to different trainings, but there's so much that we can actually do online. And to take this role, what I'm looking for when I hire is someone who you can work independently, but you are also able to work as a team. My team works with Lisa and her marketing team on a weekly basis to craft the social media for Kendall Hunt, and we do the same with our Westmark client and Great River Learning. We use the amazing covers that Suzanne and her team create to use as ads and to promote titles on the social media for Great River Learning and for Kendall Hunt. So you have to be able to work outside of your own team and also be able to work with the marketing team for your clients as well. What I'm so proud of, and I knew this before COVID happened, but my team has just elevated just being proud of them, I guess, for working so independently and just doing so amazing. As you know, we haven't been together, and really working remotely is nothing new for us, but they've just excelled in ways that I didn't even see coming. So you have to be an independent thinker, you have to be organized. There is so much you are doing on a daily basis for social media, and you might think that your day is going to go one way, and I can promise you that it's going to be very different. Every day is very different. So you have to, like, every night, I say what I have to get done the next day. This way I know as different requests and questions and all of that come in when Facebook decides not to work, that I am able to let all of that filter through. Writing is extremely important. 99% of what we do is writing, whether we're doing blogs, email campaigns, a social media post, even to write a 1 sentence in an ad. So much thought goes into that. Again, you have to be a good writer. You have to be in the know. And what I mean by that is you have to pay attention to the news. You have to, you really just have to know what's going on in the world. My team would tell you that on a daily basis, I am sending at least 3 of them something that I saw on local news or national news or even world news or trends that are happening, because somehow what is happening on a larger scale is going to play into a bigger or a smaller picture for your client. And then you have to be creative. You have to be really willing to think outside the box. I can't tell you how many times I have had, we've come up with this huge idea and then we've had to, dwindle it down. But that's what's so much fun, especially with all the different options on social media now. You can have this huge idea and sometimes you get to fulfill it, and sometimes, you make it smaller. But we've done so many cool things in our 5 years at Forge. And then what I want to also share with you then as I wrap up, so we can have you guys answer, or we can answer any questions you may have, is how do you then prepare for a field in social media? So much like what Suzanne said, I am really willing to hire people across the board if you are, you have those traits that I just talked about. I thought, again, I've been in event planning, I did all these different things, and that, and I've been able to utilize all of that work and bring it in and really hone in then on my skills in social media. But I would say speech. You have to be a good speaker. You have to be able to speak to your clients. You have to be able to present to a group. And so that's incredibly important. English, writing. Yeah, like I said, 99% of what we do is writing. I said I hated math, and it's definitely still not my favorite thing to do. But everything from, creating our business plan for Forge and having to figure out now a budget every year. I mean, just as a company in itself and in my role, I work with math all the time and trying to figure out, what revenue we need and where we cut our losses and all those kind of things, to creating ad campaigns. We have clients who spend $5 a week on ads. We have clients who spend $30,000 a year or a month on advertising. And so we have to be able to say, what are they going to be able to do and what can they expect with their return on that investment? So it is very important that you are good with numbers in this field. Business classes, psychology. You may or may not be able to imagine how much psychology goes into social media, but it does very strongly. And so, if you're interested in how people think and work and why we do what we do, any psychology courses related to that, I would suggest. Photography, videography, we use the Adobe Creative Suite, just like Suzanne's department as well. So anything you can do to train yourself there. And then just social media courses too. There's so many free online tools that you can access. We utilize Hootsuite. It's where we do our reporting for our clients. There's a lot of free webinars and white papers there you can download and look at. Canva for design. It's a free online tool that we use for some of my team who's not as skilled in Adobe, that has more like templates and things to play around with. And then if you look up the National Institute for Social Media, that's where we got our certifications from, but there's a lot of webinars on there that are free or very small cost too. So there's so much out there. So I guess just to wrap up for me, I would just encourage you guys that next time you see a post on social media or an ad, think about why you might be seeing that and try to think about too, what went into that. Or if you click on it, why did you click on it? So start thinking a little bit more about the why behind what you're seeing and what you're doing. And if you find that there's aspects of that are interesting you, whether it's the creative, the content, or the actions you're taking, then maybe you are interested in social media as a career. And if you find that to be true, please feel free to reach out to me through Forge Social on any of our social media or our website. And like Suzanne said too, when this all ends, we would love to have students come back in and do real job shadows with us and meet my team, because they're truly the experts at what we do. So thank you guys so much for listening. And Joni, I guess if we're gonna open it up to questions, I'll leave it to you.
Well, thank you very much to you all for presenting about your careers and sharing what you do and how you got there. If we have any, I'm not seeing anything in the chat box, but if any of our attendees have any questions, please go ahead and put those there now. But we really appreciate everyone attending. And we look forward to you joining us again to check out other careers. So like as these women spoke about this morning, they didn't necessarily start out on the path that they ended up on. So it's okay to check out some things that, that are even remotely interesting to you. As I'm not seeing anything in the chat at this time, to our attendees, please complete the survey that will pop up at the end of the event that gives us some feedback to help us improve any of our future virtual job shadows. But thanks again to our panelists this morning, and thank you for those that are viewing this live, as well as anyone that will view the recording of this. Thanks for joining us today.